your local enterprise office, helping your business respond.
And today we have two extremely special guests with us, two heavy hitters when it comes to the local enterprise office. We have the chair of the local enterprise office themselves, Oisin, and we have Orla, who's the head of enterprise at the local enterprise office in Offaly. So guys, you're very, very welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
So, Oisin, maybe you could kick things off by telling us, what exactly is the local enterprise office?
Sure. Thanks, Greg. And well, I suppose the local enterprise office, I mean, a lot of the people who are viewing in today will be familiar with what we do, some may not be. So I suppose just by way of a very brief outline, the local enterprise offices they provide a service to businesses, to start-up and to small businesses. We're situated in local authorities throughout the country. So the local enterprise office is, in effect, a unit within the local authority, each local authority in Ireland. So there's 31 local enterprise offices dotted all around the country. We are funded through Enterprise Ireland. So the core funding that we're provided with is provided by the Department of Business, Enterprise and Innovation, and it's co-financed by the EU. And we are located, like I said, in each of the local authorities. The map of Ireland there that you can see, so that is basically the location, the physical location. Now, I suppose it's pretty much immaterial now in relation to the physical proximity, because all of the offices of the local enterprise offices are physically closed currently, and we are all operating, as is the rest of the country, in a virtual world. So, yeah, and in terms of the role of the local enterprise office, and it's a question we get asked a lot, and it is, I suppose, to describe it in a sentence, it'd be really the first place to turn if you're looking to set up a new business, or if you're running a small business and you want to see what supports may be available to you, how to grow your business, or how to deal with difficulties such as that we're all dealing with now.
Brilliant. So what types of businesses does the local enterprise office support, Oisin?
The local enterprise offices, we're very broad in relation to the types of business. So, I mean, anybody who is looking to set up a business can contact the local enterprise office, and there are services available to anybody who is either looking to set up a business, or if you're in the early stages of doing it, or if you've actually got a business plan and you're in the process of setting up, or if you've established a business for a number of years. There are different services available for different stages, obviously, and we'll be talking a lot now in a couple of minutes about the suite of services and supports available to businesses impacted by COVID-19. And I'll be talking in a bit later on about the financial supports that are available to businesses. But in terms of the accessibility of the services, they are open to anybody who is looking to set up a business. We get a very significant number, even in normal times, if you like, a significant number of people contact the local enterprise office to see what's available to them. They may not have previously availed of state-funded programs or initiatives or grant aid or loans or anything like that. And they may not understand the landscape, because it is kind of tricky. I suppose there's a lot of organisations out there, there's a lot of state agencies, there's a lot of private sector organisations who are engaging with business and who are there to help and support businesses. So we do a lot of the kind of interpretive work for the business owner manager, or for the would-be entrepreneur. So we're dealing with businesses, we're dealing with startups, and our core goal and mission, I suppose, and objective would be to help anybody who is looking to set up a new business to have the best prospects of success in that. For businesses that have already set up, to make them help them be in a position where they can grow and scale. And indeed, in the current crisis, our core objective has transitioned pretty quickly to one in which we are looking to help businesses to survive this current crisis. Okay, so there's a whole suite of services that are available through each of the LEOs, as we are known as. Very importantly, I suppose, I mean, obviously, like I said at the start, we're in a virtual world now, but all of the local enterprise offices are working individually and collectively to common goals and aims. Okay, so if you're whether you're in Donegal or West Cork or Dublin or Wexford or whatever part of the country, there is a local enterprise office in the area in which you're operating. All of the services we're providing are provided locally. Decision making is made locally. But very importantly, we're very focused on ensuring that the services that we do provide are practical, that they're of real benefit to anybody who is in a business, and that they're affordable, and that they're easily accessible, and that they're delivered locally. Okay, so that is very important, because if you're a business, particularly in a remote area, you don't have the time or capacity, whatever, to travel to a big urban area to avail of services. So you want stuff delivered locally, and that's really what we're there to do. We're in a very difficult environment now, obviously. So, like I said, it's all virtual, and we have pivoted all of our services accordingly.
Brilliant. So I suppose you must be inundated with phone calls and emails, and I know you have staff members around the country literally working seven days a week. As regards businesses, if you are struggling due to COVID-19 and you haven't contacted your local enterprise office, now is the time to do so. But appreciate that if you call on the phone, you may not get through straight away. So I think it was, Oisin, you were saying earlier on that email would be a good place to send an email. So if you send an email, someone in the local enterprise office will get back to you with any queries that you have. Obviously, if you send an email, don't forget to include your telephone number and details about your business. Would that be good advice, Oisin?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. In terms of the volume of inquiries we're getting, we're generally out the door, usually in normal times. In the last number of weeks since this crisis emerged, and it's hit so quickly and so suddenly to everybody in our country, and our businesses have been impacted to some extent. But it was very, very sudden. Now that obviously leads then to an upsurge, if you like, in demand for services for businesses to help them to survive. And a lot of businesses have been rightly contacting the local enterprise office. So we have been doing our best. We pivoted immediately. We looked at what we were doing. We realized very quickly we were going to have to start doing everything remotely. So I'm currently in my own office at the moment, but usually I'm working remotely, as are most of the Leo staff. Or indeed all of the Leo staff are working remotely at this stage, but we do still have access to our offices if we need to for certain purposes. But obviously our training, I'm in the training room of the Fingal local enterprise office here, and we haven't, of course, here obviously in a good number of weeks. But so we are all incredibly busy now dealing with the volume of applications that are coming into us, dealing with the volume of inquiries. And we are doing that to the best of our ability. But like you said, sometimes if you phone, it may not be picked up immediately, but that's why definitely if you're trying to contact your local enterprise office, send an email, fill in the form that's on the website, inquiry form. Have a look through the website as well before you contact. That would be one of the things I would advise people to do, to look and see what services are available. The ground we're walking on now, everything is moving, changing so quickly. All of the services that are being provided have been revisited. As soon as the crisis hit there a few weeks ago, it was, like I said, it was very sudden, but it impacted everybody. It impacted massively businesses. They have seen their sales fall, up to 100% in many cases, and the financial impact has obviously been extremely severe. So we looked at what we were doing in relation to the services and changed everything. We moved all of our training, and Orla's going to be talking about that in a few minutes, of training, our mentoring services, business networking services. All of that has moved online. We have changed the service offerings that we're doing ourselves. So a lot of businesses now are looking to sell online because of the fact that the footfall just isn't there, obviously. But there are businesses now who are doing that very cleverly, and they're managing to start keep the ship afloat and keep things moving along. So there's some services there that we'll be talking about in a few minutes as well. And I suppose one of the key things as well that has been really impactful for small businesses particularly is the isolation of it. I mean, we're all social distancing and so on, and everybody in the country is feeling isolated. But for small businesses, it's particularly acute because businesses and business persons like to network. They like to meet each other. They like to share ideas. They like to meet with customers, suppliers, other organizations and so on. And that has kind of changed overnight now. So we've, again, done our best to try to accommodate this. So providing things, and Orla will be talking about things like networking platforms online.
Brilliant. Let me bring Orla into the conversation there. Now, believe it or not, Orla looks absolutely amazing today, but her webcam wasn't working, so we just have to look at her stunning photograph. What I'd love Orla to talk about with us is some of those supports available to small businesses that we can avail of. I do see a great question from Paula, which we will answer in a minute. So thank you for your question, Paula. And as we're discussing about business reports or the supports that are available through the local enterprise office, don't be afraid or don't be shy. Ask your questions in the comments box below. So, Orla, what would be the first step for a business? So, say I'm a business. Things are very, very difficult at the moment, thanks to the pandemic that is COVID-19. Unfortunately, what do I do? What's my first step?
Thanks, Greg. The first step we would suggest is that you would make contact with the local enterprise office, where, as Oisin was saying, a network of 31 local enterprise offices around the country. We're used to dealing with businesses, primarily those at startup stage and those employing up to 10 people. But we also deal with a much wider group of people who attend our training courses on business training and to attend our events. And at this particular time, we are doing everything to try and support all the businesses out there in our local towns and communities. So first step, in taking into account that it's such unprecedented times and the stresses and pressures on owner managers, it can be very difficult to know how to respond, what to do first, and even to develop a plan of action. So we encourage people to avail of free, what we're calling COVID mentoring. So this is free one-to-one advice with somebody who can listen to you, hear the issues with your particular business, hear your concerns, and help you to develop a plan of action. So that may be negotiating with the landlord, it may be dealing with issues to do with staffing, it may be trying to weigh up whether you operate on a limited basis or temporarily close, or any such issue. So we have a panel of experts who, many of them have run their own businesses. I think there's often a notion that mentoring might be some retired bank manager who's, used to dealing with, I don't know, multinationals or conglomerates, but that's not the case. Our mentoring panels are filled with people who run their own businesses or have worked for many years in particular sectors and are well used to dealing with small micro enterprises, so they can give relevant advice and help. So on the basis of that free mentoring, you hopefully will get a plan of action, what you should focus on. And we would see that as the first step. And then...
That's brilliant.
Sorry, Greg.
No, that's fantastic. So that's a brilliant first step. So first step is there's free mentoring out there that we can avail of. We want to contact our local enterprise office and look into some COVID mentoring, which is completely free by the local enterprise office. My biggest mistake in business, when I set up my business, my biggest mistake, and I'll never make this mistake again, was not seizing the support of mentoring that was available to me. And I know from the guys at the local enterprise office, you're fantastic at teasing out the business problems and matching the right business mentor for that company's needs. So that's brilliant. So say we do the business mentoring, we hatch our plan. What other supports are available? One that's very popular, or certainly heard a lot about in recent times, is the business continuity voucher. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, so the business continuity voucher allows a business to receive up to a maximum of €2,500 in consultancy. So this is open to businesses across every sector that employ up to 50 people. And thinking back then just on the COVID mentoring, the way we would see it logically following on is that the business owner would have the COVID mentoring and agree on a plan of action. And that may be applying for funding from the bank or for microfinance loan funding or a range of different activities. And then based with that action plan, that they can then apply for a business continuity voucher to carry out some of that work. So that may be, so it's third-party consultancy. It may be getting financial, work done on your finances to prepare to go for a bank loan or something like that. It may be in looking at particular HR issues, technology. We're seeing the big areas are finance, HR, and technology. And a business could decide, could look and see that they need assistance in one or more of those areas, or indeed other areas. And once the value of what they're looking for is under €2,500, they can use a range of mentors and consultants to carry out that work.
Super. Now, there's a really good question in from Paula Travers. So she says, regarding the business continuity voucher, can an applicant select their own expert if there is someone they have an existing relationship with that can be that is an expert in part of another county? Sorry, did you get that?
I did, thank you very much. Yes, the scheme does allow for that, does allow for business owners or companies to use an expert, and it won't matter if they're in a different part of the country. The big issue, and I suppose the big thing for us, all of us, is that we want every business owner to get really good value for money from this. So in approaching either an existing consultant or going for mentoring from one of the panels that the local enterprise offices have, we're asking for people to specify in their application form a detailed plan of what they hope to achieve with it. So it's not really for business as usual, it will be for something to really help them drill down and solve or help solve some problem they're having, which may be, as I mentioned, just areas on the finances or sorting out supply chains, across the board. There are a number of different things that are being asked upon. But we want people at the end of it to have a solid outcome from the voucher.
Okay, brilliant. Now, another great, thank you so much for the questions, guys. It's fantastic. I just see a question coming in from Ian, who would be shocked if he saw the state of my kid's hair at the moment. And he's asking a question, is the business continuity voucher available to barber shops?
Yeah, it's open to all businesses across all sectors that employ up to 50 people.
Okay. So
now, in some cases, sorry, Greg, I'll just cut across there for a second. Sometimes we've had inquiries and applications from people whose businesses, but if they're client companies of Enterprise Ireland, IDA or Udaros na Gaeltachta, they'll go directly to those agencies and they'll be able to receive the supports there. But otherwise, up to 50 employees.
Okay, that's fantastic. So definitely check that out, Ian. And Lucy's in the retail sector. The retail sector is struggling terribly and looking for supports. I would say, Lucy, is check out mentoring, try to get some mentoring, and maybe even check out the business continuity voucher if applicable. Carmel says, she was talking, thank you so much, Carmel, for the lovely message. She said she was talking to a lovely man called Michael in Clonmel, who helped her fill out the business continuity form, but she says it's quite difficult. So one thing I will say is if you're filling out the forms for any of the support and you're having difficulty filling it out because they can be quite complex, don't be afraid to lean on a local enterprise office representative to give you some help. Don't use a complicated form to stop you from applying. As regards, let's talk about business mentoring, because obviously this is really important. So how does the business mentoring work? Presumably it's remotely at the moment. How does it work, Orla?
So it works so people can, this is, excuse me, this is a service we run all the time anyway, but we're putting more resources into it at this time. So again, maybe in consultation with, we might be speaking to a client, or do we get an inquiry coming in now under this COVID-19, and somebody is looking for specific assistance and guidance in an area. So, and that could be anything. It could be a food technologist they need for their business. It could be somebody on kind of search engine optimization, anything, HR or any of these areas. So we ask them, we tease it out with them what exactly the requirement is. And again, because we want an outcome for this. So if somebody says, look, I need HR assistance, I need help dealing with employment contracts, or I need help dealing with managing if I have to do temporary layoffs at this point in time. So then we know what the requirement is, and we have a panel of experts in different areas, and we will match as best we can match the business owner with the mentor that has the correct experience, the relevant experience. And then the mentor, we arrange the sessions in times outside of COVID-19. They tend to happen face to face, and either at the business owner's premises or at a neutral location like a hotel or meeting rooms if they want to have it that way. But now all our supports have moved online. So generally by telephone, but we can do Zoom or Skype calls or any teleconference calls.
Okay, magnificent. And it's free at the moment, isn't it? So this is completely free. So if you're at home and you're not working, and needless to say, we're going to be very worried and stressed about our business, now is the time to grab some support. Absolutely brilliant.
And can I add to that, just Greg? For there's a lot of businesses and business owners, and they're in a stage where they're not able to trade fully, but they might have they know their business is viable and they have the time now. So we're encouraging them to try and use that time wisely. So it may be a case that they can work on certain aspects of their business, like perhaps new product development, preparation of funding applications, preparation of marketing plans or strategies, improving tender documents, implementing different efficiencies in their business. And when they go to do things like that, they can avail of relevant training courses and also the mentoring. And then perhaps there might even be funding opportunities to get further assistance. So it's a way, it's for helping people to deal with the existing crisis, but also to look to plan for the future.
Brilliant. I don't want to go backwards, but I just want a bit of clarification. Be great here, because Justin left a comment in the comments box there, and just to clarify, he says, "Hi guys, has the terms of the continuity voucher changed, similar to the online voucher scheme that is now 90% as opposed to 50% previously?" Now, my best of understanding is the continuity voucher is there's €2,500 of consultancy support available to a business. It's not match funding or anything. Could you clarify that, Orla?
You're correct, Greg. It's fully funded up to €2,500.
Okay, so there's some good news for you, Justin. Just so you know, God, it's good to get some good news in challenging times. That's for sure. Okay, training. I'm noticing a lot of free training, but certainly a very low cost remote online training available through the local enterprise office at the moment. What types of training are the local enterprise office providing at the moment?
The local enterprise offices have seamlessly moved all their training online. Even, for example, the likes here in Offaly, we were partway through a Start Your Own Business course and a digital marketing course and a number of other courses. And the first two sessions would have taken place, physically in hotels or conference spaces. And then the third week of whatever the course, it just went up online and people accessed it through the likes of Zoom. So we then have added to the existing courses a range of new pertinent courses. A lot of ones like managing cash management in a crisis is a very, very popular one. A beginner's guide to using Instagram in your business. social media tactics. There's been lots of ones on HR and ones on taking into account the very difficult time. We have self-care and coping with stress as an example of the types of webinars we're running. Typically these might, well, they range, but some of them are 2-hour webinar sessions. Others may be over a period of a few afternoons or a few sessions. And then lots on social media, a lot of people wanting to get up and running and selling online. So there's been lots of courses throughout the country on that, and there's a whole range of courses, so people can go into their local enterprise office, localenterprise.ie / and then the county or city name, and then they'll find what's happening in those areas.
Brilliant. There's 2 questions. So much engagement. I will miss questions, so I really apologise to anyone, but we will answer all your questions in the comments section later if we don't get to you. But a quick question from Andrea. She's a physical therapist and a Pilates teacher. The clinic's closed for the foreseeable future, and she wants to take her business online. Presumably, a great starting point for Andrea is to avail of some COVID business mentoring for free, and to talk to a local enterprise office representative, and maybe even look at maybe a continuity voucher or maybe a trading online voucher. So, Andrea, I would suggest is find out who your local enterprise office is and have a chat with them. Paula also asked, not to go back to the business continuity voucher, but there's a massive interest in it, which is fantastic. She said, is the business continuity voucher expected to be available until the 15th of May, or do you expect the fund to be used up before then, based on the level of applications we're receiving?
Well, the information we have to date, it is that yes, up to that date or until the fund is used up. So I would encourage people to apply for it sooner rather than later. Hopefully, it may be extended or the additional budget may go into it, but we don't know that at the moment. So we would be encouraging people to apply and move on it sooner rather than later.
Brilliant. Okay, so start the process now.
Yes.
If we don't get it in, we'll only have ourselves to blame. So start the process now. I know Oisin's chomping at the bit to get in a minute. I've actually taken you off the screen, Oisin, on purpose. But Oisin's going to be talking to us about some financial supports in a little bit. There is a new initiative which is rolling out, I think, this week, just for anyone that happens to be in the food business or thinking about setting up a food business. It's a new local enterprise office initiative called the Digital School of Food, and you can access the website on www.digitalschooloffood.ie. So if you're in the food industry, check out that resource. There's self-paced e-learning. It's a self-paced e-learning platform for food startups. So I think that might be worth having a look at. As regards networking, Orla, does online networking really work? Well, I know you guys are doing online networking sessions. Does it really work?
Yeah, it does indeed. And I think maybe even probably we all have found, even through our own family and friends, it's lovely to do the conferencing calls with people. It is lovely to see people, even if it is on through a screen. So we're finding that the networking that's moving online is very, very, there's great response to it, and people are really appreciating the opportunity to connect and chat through with others, because I suppose it comes back to it. In many occasions, when you're running training courses, as we're all the time doing, we would always see that the clients learn as much from each other as they do from the trainer. And it doesn't matter that you might be in entirely different business sectors. The fact that everyone is still looking to sell something, to deliver something, and get paid for it, and to keep their business on the straight and narrow. So there's lots to be learned from other people. Another thing we're finding, and it's again because we have a long history of doing training courses and engaging with the business community, a few things we've found. One, that businesses owners that would have attended the likes of our management development courses and the larger courses that might take place over a period of months, they form very good networks among themselves. And we see that they have set up their different WhatsApp groups and email groups, and they're in contact and swapping tips and working together on pivoting their business and collaborating. So that's really, really positive. And one last point I'd like to make just on the training is that we're finding that as soon as, when this hit, and we all made very conscious efforts to contact our clients and see how people were doing all across the country, we all found that the businesses that had invested in their own training, undertaken the likes of the management development courses and the longer courses, they seem to move more quickly to hold on to cash, to respond quickly, to ask for the mentoring and to deal with it. So it was just another sign that if you do engage with enterprise training and supports, and the enterprise training and supports is open to so many businesses, that it does help if a crisis like this hits. And finally, the last point on that I'd make is that a lot of people came back to us and said what work they had done in preparing for Brexit really helped. For some businesses, they had bought in a lot of stock, and so they had that stock and could then continue to trade during this period. So it does pay to invest in your own, business and enterprise development.
Brilliant, absolutely fantastic. So just remind us again. So if I'm thinking of training and I have the time to invest in myself right now, presumably I can go to localenterprise.ie/response, or I can visit my local enterprise office's web page and click on online training. Is that? That's
it. Yes, the training is always available on the front page.
Great. Okay. And Sharon says she finds the online networking vital, particularly during these quiet times, which is absolutely great. Someone was telling me the other day. Now you can tell me about this. Another support that I'd heard of, which is Lean for Micro. What's Lean for Micro?
So Lean is a whole system of looking at the efficiencies of the business. But in short, it generally means reducing waste and improving efficiencies. And for the last number of years, the local enterprise offices have been offering a Lean for Micro program. So this would be a consultant would be matched with a company and would generally go in physically to the company, and over a period of 5.5 days would work with the company, just looking at exactly all the processes that the company does, and then advises them of areas in which they can improve their efficiencies. And it's, the savings have been phenomenal across the board in different businesses, and people have always found it a very, very positive thing to be involved in. And so that's still available. Now, in terms of the online training can continue, and I'm not too sure, for some we may have to, if there are visits to sites, we'll obviously have to take into account business premises, we'll take into account the social distancing. Some of it may be, we might be able to do it through conference calls as well. So it's available. It's really, really well subsidized, the program. So again, it may be something that people could look at this time when they're not maybe fully trading.
Brilliant. Oisin, can you hear us there? I want to drag you back into the conversation.
Yeah, perfect.
Brilliant. So let's talk about finance. I'm worried about my business. Cash flow is a major problem. What kind of financial supports can I avail of?
Sure. So, well, I mean, in normal times, there are a range of financial instruments, as we call them, or funding options there that certain qualifying businesses can apply for. And I'll talk about those in just a minute briefly. But I think one of the things that is obviously in relation to this crisis, the cash flow has been a massive problem for businesses. And for businesses that have seen their order book fall massively, yet their costs haven't fallen quite as much. This is creating a lot of difficulties. So we were pleased to see there about 2 weeks ago, Microfinance Ireland we're in discussions with them as well, and they have now got a new offering for any business that has been impacted by COVID-19. So the deal basically is, traditionally Microfinance Ireland is, just by the way, just for people who may not be aware, it's a safe-funded body that provides loans to businesses that may not be able to secure funding from other sources and banks and so on. So the microfinance loans for small businesses employing up to 9 staff, less than 10 staff, can apply. And Microfinance Ireland loans were typically up to €25,000 per applicant. Okay, so it was to help startups or existing businesses who were looking to raise funding. About 2 weeks ago, that has been increased now to €50,000 for businesses that have been impacted by COVID-19. And we are rolling these out throughout the local enterprise offices as well. We are processing applications for Microfinance Ireland, and we are helping clients to make sure that their application is looking as good as it possibly could. In other words, that you would be putting your best foot forward when you're looking for funding. Now, on the other positive side, I suppose, in terms, look at no company likes getting in debt, particularly when there's a recession around the corner or just commencing type of thing. But at the same time, businesses do need cash input for the recovery phase, which will hopefully come around the corner soon. The finance is up to €50,000, and it is also 0% interest for the first 6 months, and there are no repayments for the first 6 months. So that's a significant offering that businesses can avail of now.
Yeah, that seems like a great idea, Oisin. Sorry for putting in there. Now, just to clarify, the question that someone had asked me regarding that is, if I applied for the loan, but maybe I didn't need it quite yet, how long would I have to draw it down? So could I apply and have the loan ready to go as a backup, or maybe is that something I should do, or should I wait till I really need the money?
Yeah, it's a good question, because, and I mean, our advice would always be, I mean, look at if your business is kind of frozen or is just operating at a very minimal level now, you are hopefully going to be looking forward to the recovery phase. Okay, now when the recovery does come about, you will need cash, you will need to restock, you will need to access funding pretty quickly to put things back on track. Or indeed, if your business has just slowed down and you're finding now that it's a temporary cash flow problem, but that hopefully in 3 to 6 to 12 months things will start getting back to normal for you. So for any of those instances, we would encourage you to look at making an application, because like you said, you can apply. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to draw it down. The rules state that I think you're supposed to draw it down within 3 months, within
You think you have a whole 90 days to draw it down?
Yeah, but that can be extended now to up to 120 days. And Microfinance Ireland are a super organisation, and they're doing a lot for businesses. They're trying to be flexible where they can. So in the event that you have to seek an extension for the drawdown, then they'll try to accommodate that. But we would urge you to look at that. Look at the microfinance. I mean, I did mention nobody wants to get into debt unless you absolutely have to. But we are in an emergency situation now, and this will, as everybody is saying, this will pass. This is temporary. Yes, we may be entering a recession. Hopefully, it will not be as deep and severe and lengthy as it could be. But we are obviously all very much hoping that's the case. But in any case, business will bounce back, and we will get back to normal. Now, I think we will get back to a different place, by the way, which is a whole other series of webinars you could probably do in relation to the changed environment, in relation to everything moving online, how that is changing the way we're working, how that is changing the way we are delivering services. I'm pretty sure when this pandemic ceases to be a big issue, that our way of working will change, as will a lot of businesses.
So, say these very strange and unsettling times was a time for me to reflect and maybe think about even setting up my own business in the future. What other grants are available? I've heard about a feasibility study grant. What's a feasibility study grant?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier on that there are a number of mechanisms by which we can grant aid businesses. Okay, so there are qualifying criteria for the traditional types of grant that we provide. And it is usually available to businesses that have international prospects or can demonstrate that they have real potential to develop into an internationally trading business or manufacturing and import replacement, that type of thing. Okay, and job creation and have growth prospects. Okay, so there are qualifying criteria for funding in relation to these grants. But there are three core types of grant, if you like, and I won't go into all of the detail. It is available on the website, but just very briefly, there is a feasibility study grant, which you mentioned there. There is a business priming grant, which is for businesses up to 18 months. And there is a business expansion grant, which is for businesses that are trading more than 18 months. In order to qualify for any of the three, you have to be either a pre-startup, startup, or an existing business that is employing or will be employing less than up to 10 staff, up to 10 full-time staff. So anything between 1 and 10 is eligible, so long as you meet the eligibility criteria. We are finding now, obviously, in relation to startups, there's not a heck of a lot going on out there. Now, there are some, I must say, there are some clever startup businesses that are seizing on kind of opportunities, and some businesses have pivoted indeed and are doing something completely different than they were doing just 6 or 8 weeks ago. But in relation to startups, there is the grant you mentioned is a feasibility study grant. We're seeing quite a lot of interest in this because entrepreneurs are always hungry for ideas. They've always got ideas, and they're always hungry to advance those ideas. And you can apply for a feasibility study grant, which is up to 50% funding towards your business proposition, if you're looking to determine whether it is going to be a viable business or not. So that can include costs that would go along with that. So, research costs and some consultancy fees and prototype development costs, that type of stuff. So, there are a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of businesses out there that are struggling big time now, but they are all thinking, all these owner managers, they're very, very clever people, and they're innovative, and they don't like to sit still. So they're looking ahead, and we're finding a lot of interest in feasibility study grants in particular currently.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. So again, we can visit www.localenterprise.ie/response to find out more about all this funding. But probably a topic that everyone's been talking about recently, or it seems that way, and I might grab Orla to actually chat us through this, is there have been changes to the very popular trading online voucher, which is a voucher to help us trade online. So hold on, I'm gonna add Orla back in and see whether so Orla.
Yep.
So Orla, there's been big changes to the trading online voucher, but first up, what exactly is the trading online voucher?
The trading online voucher is a voucher of up to €2,500, and it helps the business to move from selling, in a physical space in a retail shop to expand to include selling online. So the old phrasing was from bricks to clicks, but really it is incorporating for many businesses both the physical site and the online site. So it's been a very popular voucher scheme anyway, and it has been enhanced in two ways. So the first way it's been enhanced is that prior to this, there was a 50% matched funding required. So that meant that a business had to spend €500,000 and then in order to get €2,500. But now if they spend less than €3,000, they are still getting the €2,500. So it's 10% co-funding. And that's a real acknowledgement that, cash is people do not have the cash to be spending and are trying to hold on to cash. So this is a really great improvement to this scheme, particularly at this time. So it is a temporary kind of expansion on the scheme until September the 30th. And then the other aspect of it that has been expanded, which is great, is that people who would have businesses that would have received a voucher before in the past can now apply for a second voucher, also with the 10% co-funding.
Okay, this is massive. So this is massive. So there's so many people that had their website built 2 or 3 years ago. Maybe it's got a little bit old. It doesn't have the e-commerce or the online functionality that it could. But we'd already spent our voucher. So if you'd already had a voucher and you've used it to build your website, we can now get another one. Yeah.
That's true. And it's really useful how the voucher can be used. It can be used for the IT consultancy, the development or upgrade of an e-commerce website, or adding on the online booking system, or to take online payments. It can also be used to develop an app and a digital marketing strategy. What's great about this scheme is that it covers the training for the business owner or whoever in the business will be managing this, and it also includes the outside work, the work done to develop the website. So just to, I suppose, let people know, the vouchers are targeted at businesses that have limited or no e-commerce presence, that employ 10 or less people and have a turnover of less than 20 million. And 2 million. 20 million would be quite excessive. And so the applicant businesses need to be trading for 6 months. So, but just it's to bear in mind, there are other supports for different businesses, say for retailers and other businesses. So, but this is primarily for the micro enterprises and employing up to 10 people. And then just to say that we're seeing ourselves, like on the ground, so many businesses are already using whatever platform they may have for the business, the likes of Facebook, and are promoting on Facebook and saying, if you want to order, phone in with your order or email us and they'll take the payment over the phone. So businesses that don't have the money at the moment to invest can be building up online sales in that manner, and then look to invest to apply for an online trading voucher and invest in a probably a more enhanced system.
Okay, brilliant. So what are the steps in applying for a trading online voucher? So I believe I have to attend, or it's actually a brilliant session, but I believe that the first step is you attend an information seminar. Can you tell me about what steps are involved in applying?
So I suppose generally the local enterprise offices would have information sessions, and or they might have one-to-one mentoring on it. They might have a clinic a day, and businesses will get a 50-minute slot to kind of talk through what's required and what they want to use the voucher for. And again, it is a really, really positive engagement with the client. And again, it's back to this thing of helping businesses to get value for money, and to be really clear on what it is what's appropriate for their business, what type of system they need, and what kind of brief then that they can use to bring to a supplier to get the work done.
Okay, fantastic. So we attend that seminar. That's fantastic. Geraldine Anderson had a question, which I'm not sure whether we can answer. If we can. So could you start the process? Now, I know you have to be trading for 6 months or more, but could you do, for example, an information seminar before you reached your 6 months and get ready to apply for the voucher?
In general terms, I believe so. Like we would encourage people to do it if there's space on the programs. We probably would be prioritizing people who want to move quickly and make sure there's space for them on the information sessions or the mentoring. But by all means, yes, people can look to join those. And generally, there's capacity now on the courses. We're all adding more, mentoring and information sessions in this area, and they can be pulling together. We look for quotations, 3 quotations from suppliers, so they could be looking at putting that together as well, and preparing, getting the information together, what they'll want on their website. So there's no problem in doing that. In preparatory work, it's always good.
Okay, brilliant. So really the answer to that is contact your local enterprise office representative and have a conversation with them, and they'll do their very best to accommodate you. And even if you're not eligible for something, they will give you advice on what kind of support you
Yeah.
may be eligible for. Couple more questions if you have a second. Dave is asking: is there a local suppliers list of people to refer to, or or as a supplier can you register to be a recommended person to carry out some of this work?
I suppose what we generally encourage people to kind of research that themselves, look at websites or that they themselves like the style of, and you'll usually be able to see who designed those. We do have a listing of anyone we're aware of that's doing these websites. We add them to a list where I suppose we're always very mindful that we don't maybe recommend one over another, because you just can't do that. So, but we have a listing and we'd say, look, these are the ones we're aware of in the area. It's not an exhaustive list. It's not done in any order of preference, and we encourage you. But they could at least use that as a starting point, and then if they're a supplier, certainly by all means can let us know that they're working in that space, and they could be added then, I'm sure, to lists.
Yeah, no, fantastic. No, that's very helpful. And needless to say, the local enterprise office can prioritise one vendor over another and never would do so. But that's very, very useful. That's fantastic. Another question that's come in is it still necessary for the business to pay the money up front and claim it back? So, for example, if I spent €2,500 revamping or building an e-commerce site, would I have to pay the money, find the money, pay it, and then claim it back? Or how is that working in the current situation?
To be honest, we'd probably have to check that with each of the local enterprise offices. In general, it is what we try and do. I know we do ask for payment to be given, and that's on the basis of that we pay out the grant. What we always try and do is match the timing of that as closely as possible. So we'd work with the person who's been offered the voucher, make sure all the paperwork is all sorted, we have everything we need, and then as soon as the payment goes through to the supplier, we can see it and authorize the payment. So we do try to speed up that process, but generally now I don't know, they may need to talk to their existing or their own local enterprise office in case there's any local arrangement, but in general it's on proof of payment.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. So again, it's a common theme today, isn't it?
Yeah.
When in doubt, reach out and talk to your local enterprise office. Don't make assumptions. Don't assume something can and cannot be done. We're also saying, because of the high volume of phone calls that one's receiving, and literally a lot of staff members are fielding phone calls whilst working remotely as well to stay safe and healthy, that a good method is to drop an email. So drop an email, and in these busy times, you may not get an instant response, but you will get a response. So contact your local enterprise office with an email, documenting your telephone number and detailing your query. So that's absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to wrap up the session now. I'm going to bring Oisin back if I can find him somewhere here. And something you mentioned to me when we were talking on the phone, Orla, which I thought was a great bit of advice, was signing up for the local enterprise office newsletters.
Yes. So the local enterprise office produce newsletters, most of them. So if you go onto the local website, you'll see it. And then those newsletters are also, there's been national newsletters as well. And the national newsletters are available on localenterprise.ie. But it's a good way to find out what's happening in terms of training courses, events, or even just what's happening with local businesses. So we'd recommend people to sign up for those and to be aware of changes to schemes, new supports that might be available, and ways in which, maybe tips and that on how they can support their own business during this time.
Brilliant. It's just, I also learned so much during lunch break. I don't know about everyone else. You wouldn't believe the difficulty we had with technology getting this up and running this morning. Poor Oisin missed half a day's of work trying to get things done. We never got to see Orla in the flesh, but we were so lucky we got to hear her words of wisdom. So I just want to say, if you've asked questions online today, and we haven't answered them, we will do our very, very best to respond to you in the comments box. But I just want to thank Orla and Oisin for your words of wisdom today. Thank you so much for being with us. And for Oisin and Orla and everyone else watching today, stay happy and stay safe. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you very much, Greg. Thank you.
See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. So just for anyone, just before we go away, the guys were absolutely amazing today. Kind of our takeaways from today's session was contact our local enterprise office, avail of the free COVID business mentoring that's available at the moment. Look in to the business continuity voucher, contact your local enterprise office representative and find out what business consultancy you could avail of that's going to help keep your business afloat and prepare for coming out of these very, very challenging times. If we need money, Oisin was talking about the microfinance loan fund. So there's up to €50,000 that we can apply for. It's got a reduced interest rate, and we can even apply and get approved today and not draw down on that loan for 90 days. So there's a nice option there. And then Orla was talking about the trading online voucher. So the ability to upgrade your website from an e-commerce point of view and literally be trading online. There's businesses out there that have great e-commerce sites that didn't even realize the value that it was going to be when regular business stopped trading. So if your business can sell online or trade online and it's not doing so already, certainly the trading online voucher is definitely something to have a conversation with. And avail of the online training. A lot of it's free. That's available through your local enterprise office, the webinars that are taking place, not to mention the business networking, which the likes of Sharon, I know Sharon said it was hugely beneficial and loads of other people agreed. So jump on to www.localenterprise.ie/response and check out what resources are available to you. And don't be shy to seize upon them. We'll be back next week with another Lunch and Learn.
Your local enterprise office, helping your business respond.